Hi, everybody. Welcome to Gig, the ultimate podcast for learning about jobs in the music and film industry. I'm your host, Mike Redmond. Today, we step into the awe-inspiring world of multi-instrumentalist Josh Dion. Josh has mastered a unique sound that transcends genres, fusing rock, soul, and funk into an unparalleled world all his own. Right from the start of our interview, it was evident that music flows through this guy's veins. He has an infectious smile and a genuine humility. Get ready for an exclusive peek into the real-life adventures of a seasoned performer, coupled with invaluable advice that I hope will leave you inspired. So let's jump in with Dion, a guy that truly lives the music he loves. Hey Josh, thanks for joining me today on Gig with Mike Redmond.
Right on. Thanks for having me.
Oh man, this is cool. I'm really excited. So let's just start with something like really simple, like what are you up to these days? What are you doing now?
Okay, so I'm working on a new Paris Monster album. I've got a home studio now, which is like, every waking moment. I'm producing a record and just recording too. Aside from that, just like kind of like my new thing, man. I finally started to get that together past 2 years. And it's like opened up this whole world. I'm not touring that much. I did a tour in March with John Scofield and quartet with John Coward on keys and Vicente Archer on bass, a band that he has, which was awesome. And right now I'm playing locally and just it's great. I've lived in the area enough where I'm just blessed, I just get calls and shit just fills up and it's cool. It's all kinds of different stuff. And that's what I'm doing, man. I'm a dad. My daughter's 3.5.
Congratulations. So, that's a cool age too, isn't it?
That's awesome, man. I'm digging it. So, and like being home, I'm hanging out with her a lot and just trying to be like, get this downstairs to look like something presentable someday and learning how to like do yard work and stuff like that.
So as a drummer though, okay, because I the videos that I've watched, we'll get into a little bit of that, but the videos I've watched, it's that cool funk vibe, R&B-ish thing. But you also, if you play with Scofield, you have jazz chops.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny too. And I think that it worked out for everybody because when I first got involved, he was like, and he's so cool. He's like, oh man, if you want to change any grooves, like, cause it almost had that thing of like, well, I think he's more of a groove player. So if you want to do that, obviously Scofield has a lot of albums like that. So, but so it ended up being so much more jazz than I thought. And I was so happy about that because it made me feel good because my plan was to come to New York and be a jazz drummer. I mean, that's all my friends that I looked up to did that. Yeah. Or talked about doing that. So I was like, well, that's what I'm going to do, and so to find, and then of course, like my path went totally different and obviously, but I'm an improviser. So what's the difference in some ways? I'm just not playing at Smalls every night. I'm not getting called to play at Smoke, but I did get called to play with Scofield. So it was really cool and a lot more jazz than I thought. So I was happy about that.
Spend all this time on something without breaking for lunch for no other reason than a vision drawn up right. It's not perfectly written with care and precision. It won't take.
I want people to understand how friggin' good you are, first of all. Second, I want them to take away something that you have learned along your journey. You know what I mean? So, or you're experiencing today. And I mean, the question that I have is, what's the music scene look like to you today? I mean, as far as gigs and revenue, and is it sustainable? What do you think about it when you think about just the whole music scene?
I don't know, man. I don't know how great of I'm making a good living, but I don't know what kind of potential I'm living up to. Like, it's hard to know. Like, I just bought this new camera and I'm going to learn how to make videos now and shit. Cause I see people putting up videos every day of themselves playing. And I'm like, well, why am I not doing that? I mean, I should be doing but I don't care also sometimes, but I do have those moments of inspiration. So how do I figure out how to convey that to the internet? Because that's such a huge part of the business now. And so much of the gigs that I've gotten have been because of the internet. So it's not like I I can't hate it, you know, but it's overwhelming. I'm happy. I'm happy there are so many people. We didn't know how many people played music until now.
Right.
It's like crazy.
It's insane.
I can't take it. I find a new artist and then I look at a friend's story and they're talking about some other artist and I go to their Spotify and I'm like, okay, you know, and I'm exhausted. Like I can't, you know, because I'm trying to write music and I'm learning music for other gigs, you know. So it's like I've got, you know, 10 playlists of stuff that I still haven't listened to. And my answer to this is simple. Just relax, do what you can, and keep pushing. And you know what I mean? And because what else can you do? You're up against numbers that one person can't possibly understand. You can't understand it, you know. So I have to try to not get worked up over it all, and you know, take one day at a time and figure out that camera and like write that song and keep it going. But in terms of a living, who the hell knows? I mean, I'm thinking about when I get older, like what kind of how do I plan? Because this is all I do. I mean, I'm going to be an old man playing drums someday, singing. I mean, I don't know what else I'm going to be doing, you know.
What's the best thing to you about?
Okay, so I think the best thing is to live with that being your breath, you know, your everything, because everywhere you go can be something. You know, everything you hear, all your surroundings, people you speak to, like from everything from like you're doing the most boring thing and you listen to someone's speech pattern or like some random tone comes on when something else is happening. And you know what I mean? It's just the fact that your mind and your psyche, you know, everything is tuned into this thing. You know what I mean? Whether it's a certain interval you hear or a sound that you're drawn to. I just think living life like that is like, it's just awesome. You know, I'm just so happy when I'm realizing that that's what I'm here to do, you know. And then there's the whole other side of like making music with people and watching people be happy and or influenced or inspired. There's that too. But there's just that just natural thing. And I'm glad for it, man, you know.
Just come to realize that you don't.
What do you think are some of the challenges that indie artists are facing these days that maybe didn't exist in the past as much?
Well, I mean, how do you know, you can't make money unless you tour or you've got like some sick business sense and you can get placements and stuff. And even then, I bet the money, I mean, you know, I've done some commercials that got just vocals, like not even like with my name on or anything, but you know, I mean, I'm happy for the work, but if you think about how much money the company's making and how much the buyout is for the vocalist, I mean, it can't be anything close to what it used to be.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's tough, you know. I mean, the only time, I mean, Paris Monster gets some cool little things, little indie movie you want to put us in, you know, like stuff like that. We did get a couple TV things someone played, you know, but even when that money comes in, you're kind of like underwhelmed. And touring, you can make money, especially with two guys. Yeah. Even at the level we're at, you know, but it's not like life changing and it's barely, you know what I mean? And the thing about a band is you're going to put money back into it if you're smart. Sure. So it's like, you know, it's, I don't know, to be in a band, it's gotta be so hard, to make a living. And there's so many great bands. So it's like, I don't know, but I wouldn't discourage it. You know, I think there's a lot of people out there still. So I think there's enough people in the world that like music. I wouldn't discourage the lifestyle. But yeah, I don't know what the answer is necessarily.
Well, I think it's kind of I think you sort of said it's an evolve. You ever tour in Europe?
Many times. Yeah, that's a whole thing. I mean, Paris Monster actually had probably more success over there with some nice turnouts and some different, you know, we were hitting major cities and even some of that in between shit where you find yourself in some like magical town you've never heard of. Yeah. I love that. I love it. I love the treatment in Europe. People really appreciate it. I love the trains.
Mm-hmm.
I love the food. I love going somewhere that's older and
The history. Uh-huh.
yeah, it is so beautiful to have friends all over the world. It really is. It's just like an amazing and man, I would have never known anything. Like, and I love history and stuff, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like to go somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like that's changing. I mean, I did a lot of different like kind of jazz fusion-y kind of tours. Those guys, like, they love that stuff over there.
What you do is so unique, and you're so talented. And I'm going to ask you a really kind of weird, funny question, but I love your voice. If you had to choose between drums, singing, or keyboards as a branding career path, which way would you go?
A branding career path.
Yes. In other words, if we were talking about other singer-drummers, you've got, Dave Grohl, Phil Collins, Ringo Starr, you've got all these people, and they were basically behind the drums front men.
Right.
And I watched you and I thought, why doesn't he do that? He's easily as talented as all these guys. And that's a brand, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
For you. So I just was wondering, why did you ever consider that, or
What, just playing drums and singing?
just playing drums and singing and being you had the Josh Dion band several years ago, right?
That's more what that was, really.
Yeah.
Just kind of, yeah. But I mean, I still do that. It's just Paris Sister, I just have the keyboard.
Yeah.
You know,
And it's cool. It is so cool, though.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess just the singing and drumming, like, that's really what I do. That's like really what I like, that the heart of what I am. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The keyboard thing is just a thing that happened, and but that's the video you saw. So it's
Right. Yeah. It's the one that it stands out as being extremely unique.
If you put me with a drum set and singing, I don't think. But with the keyboard, I do have to think a little bit. So that's between those two things.
I'm a terrible keyboard player. I'm a pretty good guitarist. I write on keyboards, though, and when I watch you, and of course I think I'm sure in your interviews with some of these drum companies and endorsement companies, they're always talking about independence, and what your brain does and all this kind of stuff. But it's quite amazing. I mean, I seriously, I love your voice. I think you've got a very unique voice. Would you did a song, or was it a song or an album called "Give Love"?
That's the first album I ever put out. Yeah.
Yeah. And you reminded me of Daryl Hall in his, when he was in his prime.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I was in a church and there were some really good singers. And I remember I used to watch them and think to myself, how do you sing like this? I wasn't like that. I wasn't born a singer.
Really?
So once I got into it and went on that journey, to be able to tap into that now is like, it's kind of crazy. Sometimes you forget how far you've come. I remember when I couldn't sing, at all. Like, and now it's like something I really feel deeply, inside my body, and I can control it. It's weird, whereas I remember not being able to do that.
Satisfying. There's something really cool about singing.
And I'm still working on it, man. I mean, just singing scales, trying to stay in tune. Like you said, figuring out your own sound, how you want to edit yourself. When I was younger, I used to be really epic. Everything had to be like, there's some funny videos up, of me just like freaking out. And the band was... And the band was crazy good. I mean, it's like the solos would go through the roof. So, I will say though, like the older I get, the more I like a vocal that's just like a little just sung well. Doesn't have to be too over the top. The more mature I get, the more I'm just working on like my tone and like my delivery and like a sound that I want to record. And it's funny as you grow as a musician.
You say she's gone for the good of all of us, and so
how important do you think it is for a musician these days to be able to sing?
Yeah, I think it's really important. I mean, I get it if someone can't sing, you know, and just doesn't want to. But I think that, you know, I mean, I know the great musicians I hang around with, like, you know, they can hear all the intervals, they can hear pitch, they can hear all those things. And that's just we just keep getting better at that as we grow, you know?
Yeah.
I know I have. I mean, I also remember when I didn't know the difference between a 4-chord and a 5-chord, you know, where I couldn't necessarily tell you what these things were. And now my brain goes through Roman numerals as I'm hearing a song for the first time and is like making a chart. My brain, you know, for a gig, you know, and it's that's another cool thing that's developed where you start to hear, you know. And man, maybe you can even train yourself, because I don't have perfect pitch or anything, you know. You can know what key it's in. You can know what the change, you know. I mean, it's a beautiful gift to be able to do that.
But I know that we're better off and better still.
Tell me about some of the music that you're writing these days.
Okay, well, I mean, I write for Paris Monster. Jeff and I co-write. But, you know, it starts with whatever the idea is, and it could be a Paris Monster song, or it could be a Dion song, depending on where it goes. Usually I get the idea from the drums. That's the, you know, and now that I've got kind of a pretty kicking little setup going, it's like I'll just get it all ready. And my whole thing now is to try to capture that moment before I lose it, you know, whereas
sure.
Used to be a voice memo, and then I'd have to figure out how to like do it again, you know. And so now it's like, and I would say I would usually have a melody and a drum set, and then that's where it starts. And then I will get some other stuff going and figure out what the song is, and that's the way that it's worked the best so far. And I've got tons, man. I've got too much. Like I'm not. The problem with me is I can get something 80%. And then that last 20% is so much effort for me. And it takes a lot of discipline, which is something like I don't have that much of. And it's like, I mean, I have some discipline, but to finish, especially lyrics, I get hung up forever on, is this the right thing, you know? And that's something Jeff is really strong with. And so the Paris Monster stuff is, you know, it's great because, like, there's this one track I'm going to finish up right after this and send to him. And the track is 75% realized. You know, it's like ready to, you know, jam out, maybe put some extra stuff on there. And you know, there are some words and the melody's all done. And I send it to him and he will like just come up with this whole thing and add so much to it. And I'll be like, damn, dude, you know, so So to have someone like that, man, you know, when I've met, you know, collaborating is huge. I'm kind of obsessed. I'm working on 3 different albums that are my own too. And they're all subject matter. One's about my daughter. One's about my brother who passed away in 2020.
I'm sorry.
And thank you. Yeah. And so, but it's just like it brings up all this stuff, and you know, when I said to myself, but by the way, don't try to get therapy these days. Everything's messed up. There are no like I have like this directory, and like I can't get anyone to call me back, and I'm like, okay, so these albums, that's my therapy. You know, it's any sacred space I need. And any subject like the church, like there's a bunch of songs I never finished about that subject. And it may not even end up sounding like a concept album. But this is where the songs stem from. All of these different things we go through in our life, things that mean something to us, or some random thing. Who the hell knows? Yeah. You know, and all those things have connections, and so that's how I'm writing. You know, and that's what I'm working on, and it's so much, man. But I'm really digging it, and you know. And just therapeutically, you know. Yeah,
I can see that. So, what do you hope to do with the albums when they're complete?
Man, you know, send them to like all the people I know that I, you know, check this. I don't know, like, you know, I mean, I know a bunch of people in the business, managers and things, and mostly just to release something. I haven't released anything just under my name in a really long time. Yeah, just because it's so funny, because like you could just put it up and it doesn't matter, and you could just use that thing to like, you can recycle things now. Sure. You know what I mean? Like, it's like something, I'm like, no one cares. You're going to send it to some manager a year down the line. They're not going to give a shit. They're going to be like,
I've never heard this before. Yeah.
It's good. It's good. It's like, whatever, and like you said, it's not like we're getting a huge release. We're going to, guys, we're going to wait for 6 months and we're going to really build it up. I mean, I guess you need to do that with the internet too. You can build it up and put out one song here and there and have videos and get creative and stuff. But yeah, I just want to put stuff out, man, and I want to finish it,
Mm-hmm.
And the Paris Monster stuff has been like that too, man. We've got like almost an album and a half worth of stuff, but we're old school. Like, I have to have a common thread of subject matter that makes sense to me. It has to be a work of some kind. It can't just be like 7 random things, And
well,
so
I get that. I totally get it.
Yeah, it takes me a while, man. And
when I used to write for a living, I would get projects that literally came in at 3:00 in the afternoon, and they had to be on the air the next morning. Woo. And it was nuts. And I was fast. I was good at that. But the funny thing is, when I stopped doing it, I have songs. I just finished 2 songs that I've been working on for 7 years. and it was like, a new Slate drum set comes out, and I said, I got to redo the drums. Or a friend of mine says in Nashville says, oh, hey, I want to play keys on that. And I'm like, say, okay, well, let's redo it. I probably did these songs 15, 20 times. But I realize now it was the whole therapeutic part. I enjoyed this piece. I enjoyed getting there. They're all done. I have nowhere to put them, I may put them on SoundCloud or something. I don't know. Gosh, there's got to be a good way for that to wrap into your career, and you have a good following. So
yeah, no, I'm excited to put some stuff out. It's just because I'm getting to an age now where I'm like, well, man, I need to like speak my mind and have a body of work that I'm proud of. Yeah, and it's good because I feel good. I feel good about like where I've come in terms of editing myself. And like I feel like I've gotten more tasteful for what I at least think is tasteful in the past 10 years. I don't know, because it's interesting because I'm a Libra and I definitely am very agreeable. You know what I mean? And I like most things. Yeah. I really love all music. It's really hard to find music I don't like, and I like most people. I hate to say it.
Don't say it. No, that's a wonderful place to be, because I
think I usually get along with most people. But I will say, you still to be able to have an opinion, and to be like, this is my musical opinion. It's important. You know what I mean? Yeah, to not just always be like, oh yeah, whatever. To be able to like, here's a thing that I've chosen, a path I've chosen, and so the older I get, the more I'm like vibing with that,
I missed my mark by 1,000 miles. Ooh, pride. Ooh, pride.
You said a couple of times, like, I'm getting older, I got to do this and do that. I mean, what is it you would hope for it to?
I want to have a touring career. I want to be happy going from city to city, entertaining people, and doing whatever it takes to figure that out, and putting out records and making records. And I like producing. I really do. I don't know, in whatever limited capacity I've done it. It made me realize that I do enjoy helping someone else realize what they want or realize what their song could be. I enjoy that too. So all of those things. But I want to, I want to put out records. I want to make weird videos and get into like, subjects and write about it. And I don't know, like, those are the only things I can think of. I mean, and I love improvisation. I mean, I want to be old and playing like weird free jazz gigs and like, not that it has to be that because it's cooler. I'm just saying I don't want it to stop. You know what I mean? Like I want to, regardless of what it is, whether like I end up like in some place where it would be so great to be playing theaters everywhere and have making a good living and stuff, or even if I'm playing in some random little place with some hip instrumental group that I'm so excited about, like I don't care what it is really.
This is really fun talking to you. I just have one question, and I ask everybody the same question.
Okay.
In one sentence, it could be a run-on sentence, of course. If I was somebody that listened to this, and I wanted to kind of follow in your footsteps and do what it is you do, what advice might you give me to get started?
Yeah, I would say yes to most things, and realize and try to understand that everyone you meet is like a whole road,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't even have to look at it like that, but it just is, it's so important meeting people, and keeping in touch. And doing all kinds of different types of gigs. That's what I think, at least. Unless you really know what you want. I mean, then you don't need to listen to me. Maybe you know exactly what place you want to play and or whatever. But I would say that's a huge thing. That's something that really helped me. And I would say, do everything you can to figure out what you want to sound like, you know what I mean? And to really like be okay with what you're into. Like, you don't have to do everything either. You know what I mean? I mean, I know I just said you should take every kind of gig, but you don't have to play jazz. You don't have to play, I think that's a big one actually with a lot of musicians. Like, I don't know. You just got to find what works. I mean, that's the thing. So,
the funny thing is you do kind of know.
Yeah, maybe I do.
I mean, you've been doing it.
I've definitely said yes to most gigs, whether I was even like qualified or not, but it was, but I think that was something that helped me a lot. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And you know what, man, I would say every day you gotta you can't think too much about where other people are. Like, you really cause we open ourselves up to the moment. That's all it is. You know what I mean? You're just, so you can't get past that anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, don't get wrapped up in other things. Like, just, you know what I mean? It's easier said than done, but that I would tell a young person that. I'm sure they'll figure that out.
Perfect. I'm gonna stop recording now. Thank you so much, man. The time just flies. I could tell we could talk for a while. So
thanks for having me.
Theme music for Gig with Mike Redman was composed and produced by Other Animal. Thank you for joining me today for another episode of Gig with Mike Redman. If you like what you heard, I'd ask that you subscribe and like us. And finally, if you have questions about a job or ideas for an episode, contact me at gigwithmikeredman@gmail.com. Until next time, I'm Mike Redman, signing off.